Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
Good day to you all. Welcome to the show, Post-Raw number 78. We're happy to be here with you today. We're going to be a lot to cover tonight, more than just Monday Night Raw. It's been a weird week of wrestling news.
I feel like it's been the busiest week for you and Jerome in quite some time. Like, even though it's, we never thought after WrestleMania that there would be so much. I knew there would be news, but I didn't think it would be to this extent. And it just keeps piling on each day, the more and more stuff that's coming out. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's just never ending. From the craziness of the taping schedule, which we covered last week, but it has since changed, which I'd like to talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
In a little bit. To WWE announcing on Wednesday that there were going to be furloughs and people laid off, and Vince McMahon and the executives were going to have to take a pay cut. Oh my goodness, how sad for them.
Yeah.
And leading to over 20 main roster stars being released in one day, and also a bunch of NXT people, bunch of great producers furloughed.
Remind me to ask you a question about that later, about the 20 main superstars. Just remind me once we, introduce the chat and everybody. I just have a question for you that I've been meaning to ask you for days, but then I figured, you know what, we'll talk about it on Monday night, the post-Raw show. So it's like, all right, I'll just wait.
So in lieu of having a conversation with me off the podcast,
question. I kept forgetting to ask, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just wait because it will jog my memory because we're talking about all things going on in the wrestling world right now.
Right. And then of course we had the death of Howard Finkel, and
that was crazy.
Yeah, very sad.
2020. What are you doing?
2020 just...
What are you doing? With the exception of her, I'm like, this is the worst year. But with the exception, like...
Well, baby was born in 2019.
Right, but she's still a blessing in 2020. And,
of course, she's a blessing every day, our little girl.
Of course. That's what I'm saying. So, no year can really be a bad year with her in it. But
no,
2020 is just a hot mess.
It is. And we also have Raw to talk about as well. So...
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy.
3 hours of...
I gotta say, I feel bad for you and Roy with these. I mean, a little bit worse for you because you have a 3-hour show.
SmackDown, at least, is like... They still have matches that are, like, semi-competitive. Like, I felt like every single match on this show tonight was like a foregone conclusion. Who was going to win?
Yeah.
Or it was an enhancement match.
Right.
Or... Yeah, or like the only match that was like anything close to good was Mysterio versus Murphy, and like even that, it was like I never thought for like 1 second Mysterio wasn't winning that match. Maybe somebody else thought Murphy would win, but nah,
I don't know.
Not me.
I don't know.
I'm just too smart.
I guess so.
Let's say hello to everybody in the chat room, shall we?
Sure.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
And we apologize, of course, for being a little late tonight, but
well, we have a reason, and
we always have reason.
It's not just Liliana.
Yes. So we got Uncle Billy in the chat room tonight.
Hi, Uncle Billy.
Quentin Walters in the chat room,
Hello,
our
Quentin.
number one fan. Andrew Elder.
Hello, Andrew.
He's back. Andrew is back.
Was he scared for a while to come to the post?
I don't know. I don't know. I was getting a little worried that I didn't see.
No.
I was worried Andrew wasn't going to come back. Let's say Nafis Sadat, our
Hello,
buddy,
Nafis. Yes.
Our dear friend Nafis.
Yes.
Good health and to him.
Absolutely.
Mashoon Walls.
Hi, Mashoon.
In the chat room. We have Hayden Barker.
Hi, Hayden.
Hayden made it for a show. All right. Sweet Louis Feraldi in the chat room tonight. And Hayden reminding that yes, there is 1 hour less on SmackDown, so that is very, very good. Very, very good. And if I haven't said hello to you yet, just pop in and I will make sure I say hello to you. Yeah. So, yeah, 2020 sucks. Happy 420 to everybody. And if you are a partaker, which I am not, but if you are, with the way this year is going,
good for you.
I don't blame you.
Good for you. Whatever.
Now,
no judgment here.
Andrew Elder says on May 1st, Tennessee ends the stay-at-home orders. So does that mean... I thought Tennessee had canceled their school year, so that's what Andrew Elder says. So if Andrew could answer if the school year is back on or what, I don't know.
Well, that's what's confusing to me about what's going on right now. There's a lot of states who are going to be canceling the home order, but will schools still take in place? With certain states, like you said just now, that already called off the rest of the year. So I have no idea.
I don't know either. Corey Howell in the chat room.
Hello.
Hello, Tedesco's and Baby Lily.
Hello,
Corey. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right. So last week, you and I were. Oh no. So Andrew says the school year is completely off. Completely off. So even though they're going to end the stay-at-home orders, maybe they'll do like what Florida and Texas are doing, where it's like not everything's open. Well, I mean, Florida reopened their beaches, which is like just playing with fire there for sure. But you know, like if you open the parks and practice social distancing, that's fine. But if you open the beaches and everybody's crawling on top of one another, not good either. You know, there's good ways and there's bad ways to reopen this place.
Yeah, I think schools should definitely be to be honest with you, and not just because we're teachers. I think that because remote learning is not anywhere near easy by any means. I think schools should stay off the rest of the year, just because then that's a little bit much, you know, getting a bunch of people in a classroom and going home to their families and stuff like that. It's just whatever. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my school, you know, Governor Murphy over here in New Jersey is waiting until May 15th to make the final decision. The head of the superintendent's board said that it looks like it's just not happening, and it's just like kind of like one more Hail Mary pass, you know, like, oh, maybe we'll reevaluate May 15th and everything will be fine.
Exactly. I mean, believe me, in a perfect world, I would love for it to do it, but
my school, they said that best case scenario is we're back the week after Memorial Day, and then they said at the same time that prom probably wouldn't happen in June because of social distancing, and it's like, okay, you're going to send us back to school, and then you're worried about socially distancing.
There was
so they moved prom to July.
Yeah, like an article in a local news article today, like Mike just said, prom's in July this year for our school. So
yeah,
who knows?
Grash is in the chat room as well. Hello, Grash. All right. So last week, you and I were none too pleased with a bunch of news that had come out, particularly about Vince McMahon for making everybody fly in every week to tape these shows live. And there was a report that was floating around that, you know, I was flabbergasted about, saying that NBC, Universal, and Fox are pretty much, they're worried. They're so worried about their contracts with them that if they break the thing that says, oh, you can only allow three tape shows a year, that they'd be screwed and it might lose money. And it's like, well, why don't you just get your lawyers on the phone rather than like screwing up your whole entire talent roster? Apparently, maybe they did, because now they have moved to a taping schedule that is basically every other week.
And I personally think, as I told everyone last week, due to the backlash, I think that's where Vince McMahon said, all right, we got to rethink things a little bit. I highly doubt it. Again, I'm going to say it again. I highly doubt it was a networking issue.
I think it was Vince just being stubborn.
I think Vince was just being stubborn and wanting to put out live shows every week, and he got a lot of heat. A lot of heat from a lot of people. And, you know, for all we know, it could have been, I'm not saying that he doesn't get bullied by the wrestlers. He doesn't tend to care about what they think for the most part. But I'm going to say this, though. Maybe some more important people said to him, like, this is not a good idea. It will look bad for the company and the brand overall. And Vince thinking, like, oh, well, I got to keep a good image, so we'll do every other week instead of every week of live tapings. So this week was previously taped, or was this week live?
This week was live.
So next week will be
next week. I believe next week will be live as well.
So when are they starting the tapings? The every other week.
Yeah. So next week will be live, and then the Raw after that will be taped.
That will be taped. I got it. Okay.
Then they'll do Money in the Bank, and then it'll be 2 tapings. And they'll be gone for 2 weeks.
That's kind of how they're alternating it.
But still, you know, if you wanted to self-quarantine, before going home, you really can. You know, so if you have a pregnant wife, you know, or, you know, it's just not feasible. You know, you have to self-quarantine for 14 days and then you have to go back to work.
I don't know. I mean,
it's tough.
It's such a catch-22 with the whole thing. I mean, like, I know in general, like, even if somebody like Brie Bella, I know Daniel Bryan wasn't home all that much, but the fact that he really can't come home at his own leisure is what's scary. Yeah. Like, even though he's on the road a lot throughout the year and she's not seeing him as much as she would obviously like to, still, it's just that mindset of like, oh, my husband can't come home because he's been quarantined again from what I saw. Like, he's not even by them. So it's like,
yeah. and who knows how long this taping schedule is going to go on, and you know how long the virus is, you know, it's going to be going on till we finally bend the curve, which kind of looks like the curve is starting to show.
Yeah,
up.
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely a lot of positives going on right now, but it's not
I'd like to see that curve go down a little more before we start reopening everything.
Well, I like to just even like in this particular situation with WWE, it's like, you know, even though you're doing the every other week, it's still not solving the problem of, like you said, the self-quarantine. It's just not... We're just being foolish right now. Literally every other like sports company is not doing what they need to do, and except for WWE. And again, I get it's sports entertainment we're talking about here.
They all want to get back to it. There's no doubt about it.
But, no, of course.
You know.
But again, we're in a pandemic. Like...
Yeah. Well, you know, it's... the emergency rooms in New York, at least, you know, there's still people in there and they're still at max capacity, but, you know, all the emergency room doctors are talking about how the ventilators, they're not hearing the ventilators on as much, so there's not many people needing them this week around. But, you know, you start reopening things and, you know, we could be right back to where we started, you know, before you know it. So it's a very, very careful game that we have to play here. And it might be quite some time before we get people in an arena or a stadium. And I know there's a lot of people thinking that, you know, there's a lot of thinking the best case scenario. But we've heard best case scenario for 2 months now, and every single time it's like, oh, you know, we'll be back for, you know, at the end of March, and then it's, oh, we'll be good by Easter, and then it's April 30th, and April 30th is coming up, May 15th in New Jersey here. This thing keeps getting stretched out because people just can't do what they're supposed to do. That's the problem here. And, you know, it's really impacting wrestling. It's impacting sports. And like those things are, you know, I'm not saying like they're the biggest pieces of our economy by far. They're not. But, you know, in terms of like what makes people happy, I mean, you know,
yes and
not
no,
having
though.
Sports hurts.
That's what I'm saying. Yes and no, because now you are going into spring, summer months, which generally, if you're talking about, you know, when it comes to entertainment, yeah, that is a big money-making component that we're going to be having a huge loss from. Honestly, like, especially think about it with SummerSlam coming up. You have baseball, like, that's huge. That's huge. And the fact that these things aren't happening from the beginning of this whole thing going on, I really thought SummerSlam was going to happen. Now it's like I don't even know what's going to happen with SummerSlam, because myself, I just want to get back to the normalcy of like seeing my family.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. I don't necessarily care about like arenas and like going to stadiums. Like I'll skip a baseball game this year. You know what I mean? Like I know we had intended on going to SummerSlam initially, you know, and
no chance.
Not a chance now. But I want to get back to the normalcy of like seeing my family. But I know for obviously other people, like these are huge things that were going on that are just not happening. It's getting farther and farther to see, and like the paranoia for me is just getting worse and worse and worse. Like the longer that we have this quarantine, the more my anxiety is just kind of overflowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear
stinks.
you.
It does.
I hear you on that.
Because I was really looking forward to. I'm like, all right, we won't have WrestleMania, but it's like now will we have SummerSlam? Most likely not. At least within an arena, with people.
I don't see it. I'm hoping, you know, maybe they can be back for Royal Rumble. And of course, you know, the virus is impacting construction projects too. SoFi Stadium, the site of WrestleMania 37 next year, they're not opening on time. I don't know if that will affect WrestleMania at all. They were supposed to open up on July 25th with Taylor Swift, and they're not opening up now. It's just weird. It's just crazy. What are the long lasting implications of this?
Now I think you and Jerome were talking about on Saturday, about how like if they're not ready for next year for that with WrestleMania, and again we're going off topic a little bit, but do you think they would have it in Tampa like they were initially supposed to this year?
I heard that they are thinking of they're already coming up with a plan B for what it's going to be. I'm thinking Tampa 2022, but you never know.
Gotcha.
You never know.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. Now after all this craziness, you and I were pissed last week about them taping every week. Oh yes. Then they unfortunately they had the big spring cleaning. They've basically been hoarding talent for the better part of a year and a half or so. They've had one of the biggest talent rosters they've ever had in their entire existence, and they had to trim some of the fat this week because it's they're not making money. The only money they're getting is from television deals, and that's it.
I know.
That's really it. And the network, maybe. I know. Like the network, isn't turning a profit like they hoped it would. I mean, it's turning something, but it's not like, I don't know, enormous mounds of money like they're hoping.
I know. I know you talked deeply about this on Saturday. Like,
yeah, I know. I don't want to rehash
no,
in
depth. I'm just saying because I haven't. No. What I'm saying is because I haven't spoken about it on air at all.
Yeah. Well, everybody wants to hear your opinion.
I don't know. I just find what they did to be very selfish and very foolish. Like, I understand they have the yearly spring cleaning of people who get released and they don't utilize. Like, come on, like Primo and Epico. Like, when's the last time? Like that was the ongoing thing for the milk carton.
Yeah.
Like for like what, a year and a half or a year? I don't even know how long.
Epico had been gone for like about a year and a half.
Yeah, right? So like people like that, yeah, you understand. They haven't been on shows, they haven't even been doing house shows, like they're not literally being used for anything. They're just like
right, like I felt bad for Drake Maverick, but he peaked in the summer, and that's about all you can do with that guy.
But
the 24/7 stuff, that was it.
But however, a lot of charisma, a lot of whatever. I saw a lot of potential. That's somebody who I would maybe furloughed. I would not have gotten rid of them. I would not have released them.
I guess you could make him like a manager or something.
To me, like that was foolish. But I think to the extent that they went was really, really sad with some of these people. And again, some of these are furloughed, so like they'll be back, which is fine. I think if there was anybody they were kind of on the fence about, they should have just done that. But people like Primo and Epico who've genuinely not been involved, yeah, like fine, like release them. You know what I mean? It's probably hurting them more that they're in a company that they're not working for right now anyway.
Right. Of course they want to work.
Of course. But for people who actually have been working, like, I mean, come on, Gallows and Anderson, what the heck? I mean, what the...
That one, I was like, wow, Gallows and Anderson, huh? That's...
I mean, come on,
weird to me.
I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's just... the more and more decisions that they make, it's like they're looking pretty bad each week. Like,
I know.
At first it's like, okay... First, it's like, okay, we're taping live shows every week, all right? And then it's like they backtracked. Okay, now we'll do every other week and alternate it, blah, 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 blah. But now it's like, oh, let's just do this spring cleaning of our roster. Like, what are you doing?
Rusev was a huge surprise to me, too. Gallows and Anderson were in the main event of night one of WrestleMania. They were there with AJ Styles.
Rusev, though, I hate to say it. I love him a lot, and I don't think they should have done that. I feel like no.
Wow.
I was not. No, I'm not going to say I was, because just of everything going on, I feel like there's a lot more. I would love to have an interview with Rusev, like not affiliated with WWE, like just to hear his thoughts, because he's been talking a lot of smack about them for a while now.
I mean, like, the thing that really like bugged me about Rusev was, I mean, if you remember the story that came out like last month, he gave $20,000 to WWE staff that was laid off, at the onset of the pandemic.
I know.
It's like he's a quality guy.
That's what I'm saying. He's a great guy.
He's thinking of taking care of the people more than WWE is.
Listen, I think, again, I love Rusev. I'm a huge fan of his, and I think he's a great talent. That was a huge mistake on their part. And what is going on in the mindset, though, of him? His wife is still working for them.
I know. Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that there's something going on in their marriage. I do. I do.
Macho Man Savage and Elizabeth are like,
No, I'm not even joking.
Separate them, it's no good.
I genuinely think there's something like, I'm sorry, it's very, very tough to deal with all that. And now she's working for the company and they're not, and he's not. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a Moxley Renee Young type thing. That's not like that at all. I mean, they've done everything they can to make Rusev look like a chump. And I'm not saying they didn't do it to Moxley either with Dean Ambrose when he was in the company, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well,
Rusev has a lot more potential, a way more charismatic potential than Dean Ambrose was when he was in the company.
Rusev to me was always like a world champion in the waiting. Just he got himself over on a couple of bad storylines. He just made it work, and he's so charismatic. You think about him at WrestleMania in the tank coming out to face John Cena, and how good he was during that undefeated streak, and how they kind of dropped the ball on him for the rest of that year. And also, he was in that League of Nations bullshit tag team club or whatever that was. And then he got over with the Rusev Day thing. He's a great talent, guy that can take, lemons and make lemonade, constantly, so that kind of stunk. Another one that bummed me out was Leah Rush. I just loved Leah Rush. I mean, I think he's just so incredibly talented. He was great as a manager. Everything they did with him, he was great as a manager. When they brought him back, when he got through,
fully released, correct?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah,
when he got through,
that's again really stupid decision.
And when he got through all of his issues, there had to be something, in the head, there, because he really went off the deep end for a little bit.
Do they care though?
No, of course not. But he fought back from that, and he was a great opponent for Angel Garza, and they had a great series for the Cruiserweight title, and to just let him go.
Foolish. Very, very foolish. So that's somebody you furloughed, not get rid of completely.
Right.
Sorry.
I agree.
There's people, yes, furloughing is totally different than releasing somebody. You know that they'll be back. It's like, and some of these guys will be back even though they were released, let's face it. But I don't know.
I know. And then, of course, the Fink dying just totally put the cherry on top of the shit pie that was
again
that
2020.
week. 2020 just sucks. It's just, what a horrible year.
Oh my gosh. Did you
see? It's like everybody was like, 2016 for the celebrity deaths, but like 2020 for all the human deaths this year. It's like crazy.
No, well, 2020 is just for all of humanity.
Way worse.
Like global, like
horrible. Anyway, the only good thing that I've seen so far from 2020, in terms of big time news, is that Kim Jong-un is very sick apparently, and not doing well. I can't say can't say that I'm devastated to hear that.
No, I'm not going to touch upon that.
Another crazy asshole
though.
might bite the dust.
Well,
that's how I feel about it. A psycho murderer. Who, how old is he?
I don't know. I really don't care.
40s.
I really don't.
He had heart surgery apparently, and now he's on death's door.
Well, again, I'm not going to touch upon that. I really do not want to comment.
I'm sure some surgeon left in a gauze pad in there, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, Supreme Leader.
Yeah, I would never want to be that person. I would never want to be
that doctor's definitely dead.
No,
right
now. I would never want to be
gone.
I would never want to be hated that much where it's like the doctor just looks at me and goes, yeah, you're not worth it.
I mean, Kim Jong-un killed his uncle, killed his brother, probably killed his father. Who knows?
I'm not saying
Kim Jong-il might have been
murdered. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm not saying that. Who said that?
Who said that? Not me. Not me. Let's talk about Raw.
Okay.
Enough of all this crazy crap. Okay, so far, Raw, looking at the Twitter poll, we have 58% thumbs down.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know.
I'm very shocked. Not shocked. I'm actually like...
You're shocked.
I'm shocked that we have any votes on it at all, to be honest with you.
I know. You know, it's like...
the show.
Like, honestly, at this point, like, last week's Raw was essentially like the first Raw that, you know, that wasn't a holiday show or a taped Christmas show that every hour did under 2 million.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean... These are really bad numbers, and I get it. There's a pandemic, Mike. There's a pandemic, and it's just not entertaining to watch right now. It's just not. You know, people gave it a shot the first week. They even came back for the second week. They didn't stick around. They just can't. You know, and like you can tell, like I am so interested in the numbers that come out tomorrow because you just know they're going to be. But ugly.
They're going to be worse than last week. Last week was bad.
I think they're going to be way worse than last week.
And last week was bad.
Like nothing on Twitter tonight about Raw. Like you know, I normally get a lot of Twitter interactions with, you know, with my posts and stuff like that. Like, you know, it was like pulling teeth, you know, for people to respond and stuff like that. Like there was nothing going on. You know, I didn't see Raw trending at all.
No.
At really any point. You know, I clicked on the hashtag just to see, like, you know, the conversation. It's just so diminished. There's just not a lot of people watching right now.
You know what I think is happening too? Because I've been talking to some people just in general, like even my family, and not that are watching wrestling. Not everyone in my family watches wrestling, but people are just getting sick of watching television. Like, you know, and so they'll do literally anything but watch TV at this point. It really is like... It's
true. I mean, because you watch the news, you're going to go absolutely squirrely watching the news. I have done my best. I'm only reading online, you know, publications from actual newspapers, not blogs, not some fucking right wing or left wing, you know, crazy shit. I'm just reading the facts. That's all I want to know.
All informative.
It's just the facts. That's all I need to know. I knock it out, and you know, I'm done reading all my stuff that I need to see in 20 minutes, and then I just go about my day. You know, we watch Nick Jr. all day.
All day,
baby.
Literally.
I don't even ask to change the channel anymore because it's like there's nothing worth seeing.
I'm not even joking.
There's no new shows that are interesting. Netflix is the only thing that's putting out anything that's like really interesting.
And Mike and I, to be honest with you, this is a confession right here. We were watching Peppa Pig up until like 3:00 in the morning one night.
It was on in the background. We weren't watching it like, oh yes,
we
popcorn.
Like,
get the popcorn out.
No, but we had it on.
Oh, what are they gonna do today?
I'm Peppa Pig. This is my little brother George. This is Mommy Pig, and this is Daddy Pig.
Okay. Nah. No, I don't. Nobody needs to know what Peppa Pig is.
Everyone needs to know what Peppa Pig is.
It is pretty cute. No, we were actually singing Paddington Bear the other day. That's what we were doing.
Paddington, Paddington Bear.
I'm way happier watching that stuff than I am like watching wrestling right now.
One more. Have you seen Mad Dog Blue? She's looking for you too.
Let's begin with a paw print. Everybody's looking for Blue's Clues. Okay, that's enough.
Come on in, come on.
We're gonna get copyrighted here.
No, we know Josh. So.
Good night, Sweet Lou.
Good night.
Yeah, no, yeah. We actually met the guy who plays Josh on Blue's Clues. He's a graduate of Montclair State, which is like right up the road.
Is your hand okay?
I'm totally fine.
Okay.
Anyway, it's like, you know, there's just nothing worth watching, and and there's a lot of people that just aren't watching TV at all right now, just to avoid all the BS. You know, it's like we're good.
I would hope that also, if you're not watching TV, people are actually doing stuff with their families too.
I hope so.
Like, you know, playing a board game or doing a puzzle. You know, I bought Mike for his birthday a 300-piece Lego set of the Titanic that I'm hoping to do with him, but he told me I can't because he wants to do it by himself.
Nobody does Legos with me. I can't allow it. I just can't. Anyway. Yeah, so it just felt like there was like nobody watching this show. Like even watching the show, it just felt like everybody was like, you know, like I saw an interview with The Miz that said like, oh, well, with the empty arena shows, everybody's trying even harder. It's like, are they? It just felt like their phone, like everything was just kind of just like there.
Come on, Miz.
McIntyre was a lot of fun. In the main event when he was chopping Angel Garza at ringside, and the first chop that he hit on him was just kind of like a glancing blow. It just sounded like that. And then he pushes him back and he goes, "I'll hit you harder this time and get it good." And he smacked him pretty good. He was funny.
You know what I appreciate about Drew McIntyre, I have to say, even though he's in a very
tough spot.
He's really like kind of still soaking it all in, because I think he realizes like this may be my only opportunity where I'm the world champion, and I got to just live with it at this point, even if we're in the pandemic quarantine and blah, 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 blah. I got to give my hats off to him, honestly. He's
doing the best he can in a terrible situation, and it sucks for him because, he worked his ass off to get to the main event spot, and it was just like, I really honestly thought like by SummerSlam last year that he'd be way more ahead of the game, and he really wasn't.
No, but I got to give props to him, though. I really do, because he really does put in a lot of effort and tries really, 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 really hard.
Yeah. So let's run down the show real quick. So McIntyre kicks off the show again, and like I like what McIntyre's doing. I'm a big fan. I'm just gonna say that. But I do not like opening the shows with an in-ring promo, because it's like they come out. There's no one in the place. They're standing in the ring, and they decided they're gonna use their inside voices. There's no more like projecting like they need to in an arena, and it's just so eerily quiet that you watch it, and I'm like watching the TV, and I'm like, this just doesn't feel right, and like already I'm like, I don't want to watch this show. Like it looks so dead. I don't know. How do you feel
agree.
about it?
I agree with you on that 100%. If you're obviously you have to have no crowd, no audience, no whatever. Don't start off with a promo. Don't do it. Just start off with a match. Seriously, just do yourself a favor. It's not to say that he can't do what he was going to say initially. You know what I mean? Later on in the night, or even the second part of the show.
Yeah.
Don't open up with it though.
Right.
Don't open up with it.
Like do it at the 9:00 hour.
Yeah.
Not right off the bat.
No,
start off with action.
Just gotta be
action. Just get the show going.
Yeah.
Like when you're in an empty arena, just get it going. And like just put the show in gear.
They need to do music. They need to do music. They do. Even for the wrestling, they have to have music in the background.
I know.
They have to. I feel like it would add a little bit more. I do. Just there's something. Just so you're hearing some kind of voice. I don't know.
There was ideas floating around a couple weeks ago that they should pipe in crowd noise. Pipe in crowd noise.
Whatever.
They did it for SmackDown for 10 years. Do it.
Yeah, they did.
Like when SmackDown was taped, it was always like you could always tell the canned cheer.
Oh my god, it was the best.
It literally sounded just like.
It was the best.
Sound like I don't
know.
You
watched it and then it was like, wait, that did not happen.
Yeah, like we would be there and then we'd watch the show.
Yes.
Days later, and we're like, no one cheered at that.
Nobody
you could hear the cheers that sounded like Resident
and
Evil
they had like
screams.
We always used to laugh too, but like if they used me for that and I didn't cheer at that part, I swear.
Oh, I know. Like that.
Like a total divas.
That clip that they keep using of us from WrestleMania 33. I'm like, if they ever put me in a spot to make it look like I'm cheering for something that I would never cheer for, I'm suing this company. I'm suing them.
Like, I was not cheering for you.
I would never cheer for that.
I was cheering for Roman Reigns.
How dare you? Anyway, so
continue.
Yeah. So Drew McIntyre comes out. He's talking about how it's crowded at the top, and Seth Rollins stomped him, and he thinks that Seth is deserving of a title shot, which he said he's only giving opportunities to people who deserve it. Seth is a decorated champion, so at Money in the Bank, he issues the challenge to Seth Rollins. Garza, Theory, Vega come out, and Vega makes mention of a rah-rah speech, which is kind of funny because
it is funny.
That was the terminology that set Seth Rollins off when he had that rah-rah speech. After the non-plane ride from hell out of Saudi Arabia in November, and Andrade blindsided him. This is actually pretty funny. Andrade blindsides him. McIntyre basically just levels him with a Claymore kick, And Vega's telling Garza, in theory, get in the ring. And they're like, no. Raw, the one positive I can really say about Raw is, and anyway, let me just finish the segment before I get to that. And then, McIntyre just claymores Andrade over the top rope. That's the end of the segment. A lot of fun. But still, I would rather that happen at 9 o'clock than 8 o'clock. Start off with the Money in the Bank qualifying match. Start off with Mysterio versus Murphy. Just, some match that's good.
Any match, really.
Not any match. I wouldn't say any match because there's a couple matches that I wouldn't even put on the show, and they put on the show. But anyway, for the better, I have to say, some of the people that they get opportunities, but not like big opportunities, have really stepped it up. And I'm talking about Zelina Vega. Raw has really become the Zelina Vega show in the last 2 weeks. She is absolutely killing it. She's grown the stable of Andrade, Austin Theory, and Angel Garza. They're all having singles matches the last 2 weeks. She's on commentary. She's at ringside, just doing her thing, and she is killing it right now. The backstage promos with Charlie Caruso are hilarious. She's awesome.
She's fantastic.
And she's really carrying the show right now. Really,
oh my gosh.
Kind of like making it entertaining.
Well, this is what we were saying about 3 weeks ago, I think it was now, where this is an opportunity for some people to really shine. And Zelina Vega is one of those people who is just making it worthwhile and making it something you want to watch, something you want to listen to, and something that you can be entertained by. I said the same thing about Asuka a few weeks ago.
Asuka's great.
I feel like there's certain people who are kind of meant for this type of situation. Not that you think you're ever going to be in a type of situation like this, but this is somebody, because when you have somebody who's really, really good on the mic, this is where it really shows for itself, because she doesn't need a crowd to entertain you, to show conviction in her, what she's doing or anything like that. She's just doing what she does, and very entertaining, and is carrying a lot of the show. You need somebody who is a good talker, brings a lot of heat.
Absolutely.
So when you do tune in, you're like,
heat implies that there's people booing.
No, but, not necessarily.
I know. You need somebody who's dastardly and can play a character really well.
Because if
this time you need a character.
Because if you happen to be just like, let's say you're not actively watching, but then you're hearing her in the background, like, what is this girl talking about right now? Then like, even for like the casual fan who hasn't really watched in a while, and with everything going on especially, but you're just like, oh, this girl's pretty interesting. I might have to tune in to see what goes on with her and what she's doing. So
right.
And it helps that she has a really good group of people that are wrestling in her stable, and
very,
whatever.
Very talented group. Absolutely. So yeah. After that, we have Aleister Black versus Austin Theory in a Money in the Bank qualifying matches. 1 of 3. The other ones were Apollo Cruz and MVP, and Mysterio versus Murphy. I was a little trepidatious about having Austin Theory in this match.
Love that word.
You just knew. Oh, thank you.
I love you when you use that word.
Thank you. Because like Austin Theory is like, he's new, talented. They haven't exactly presented him well as like a winner. But he's got something there.
Yeah, definitely got talent for sure.
I was like, they at least just give him a good match with Aleister Black before he loses, and that's like the overarching theme of like the entire show. Not a single one of those Money in the Bank matches, like they were billing them as like, oh, they're the first time ever doing these matches. Oh, cool, great. I never for a second doubted that Mysterio, Apollo Crews, and Aleister Black were winning those matches. Aleister Black hasn't lost since like the summer, and Mysterio, he's not going to fly out from California to Florida to lose to Austin, to lose to Murphy.
No, I agree with that.
And Apollo Crews, it seems like they're trying to give him a push, even though they did that horrible 4-segment match with Aleister Black.
Oh my God.
We'll talk about that match in a few.
Yes,
but
we will.
Aleister Black and Austin Theory, they had an okay match. After the match, though, and so like I knew Aleister Black was winning, and because of the push that they're giving him, it's like Aleister Black, in my opinion, has got to be like one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win Money in the Bank. But after the match, he cut a promo that was so bad and so lame. He couldn't catch his breath. He was like out of breath from the match. The material just sucked. He didn't deliver it well. It's like, this guy needs a manager so badly. And it was funny. Like, I got a kick out of the match because Zelina Vega was on commentary and they're married and she had to go against him. But it's like, Jesus Christ, he's married to Zelina Vega. She should be his mouthpiece.
She is the worst person to be married to in that sense. It's like night and day with them.
It's like so striking.
Literally so striking. The fact that she is just like this insane person on the mic and he's just like, oh my goodness. I know.
It was atrocious. It was so bad.
I wouldn't put him with Vega though, even though she's.
No, I wouldn't put him with Vega either.
I know what you mean. He needs somebody who's going. He needs somebody who's going to be on his side. For sure, but I don't know who
like a Paul Bearer, like another character,
funny.
a manager who's kind of gimmicky.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like somebody like him, but who is even like that now?
James Mitchell, I think he's in Impact right now, but James is a little nutty. I'm Facebook friends with him, even in his real life.
I was gonna say I don't know anybody who would be comparable because I wouldn't even say somebody like Heyman. I think Heyman's a totally different ballgame.
But Heyman loves Aleister Black, so he could put him over. But
he does, but I just don't see that fit there. He needs almost like
right. He almost needs like what was that, Bugsy McGraw or something like that, like one of the crazy people, Bugsy McGraw, who was a huge
yeah. I wouldn't even say I wouldn't say a female.
For Bray Wyatt.
I wouldn't say a female. I would say it needs like a Paul Bearer, but it's like nobody's like that anymore. So
yeah,
I honestly
or like what the hell was his name?
Who are you thinking of? With who? Would I know the person or no?
No, you're not going to know the person. He was.
We'll talk about who he helped, so people can help you.
Okay, so it was a character that they started debuting in like 1995, who was like crushing bugs on his skin, and he didn't last that long because the guy was like really kind of broken down. I know the guy. I know the name. I've said the name in the past. I think I've even talked about him on the show, and I just can't think of the damn name right now. And Andrew Elder's saying Kevin Sullivan would be a good person. I don't know if Kevin could handle the schedule.
I really, honestly,
Waylon Mercy. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, Andrew's good.
Thank you, Waylon Mercy. Good. That's somebody like that, like somebody with like those kind of things.
I have to say,
I'd even call up Dexter Lumis from NXT and just have him.
I have to say, we don't have a lot of managers. We really don't.
No, Vince hates managers, so he's done away with
really?
Them. Yes.
Why does he hate them? What's his deal? Like, was there ever any reasoning behind that of why he doesn't like them? Like, you're gonna tell me right now he didn't like Paul Bearer.
No. Well, he grew to hate managers. He just managers carried the company in the 80s. Bobby Heenan, the Grand Wizard, Jimmy Hart. There was a ton of really, really good managers. Captain Lou Albano. And then in the 90s, he kind of phased him out. It was like Paul Bearer and Ted DiBiase managed for a little bit. I don't know. I really don't understand. See, I would never expect that because there have been people who have been managing over the, you know what I mean, and like valeting and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, yeah, like they'll have pretty girls valet because it's like, oh well, everybody loves a guy who can get a pretty girl. All the baby faces are supposed to have pretty girls. That's like basically.
I mean, but I love Vicky Guerrero when she was on.
Well, Vicky Guerrero was great.
She was fantastic.
She wouldn't have gotten an opportunity if she wasn't Eddie Guerrero's wife.
True. You're right about that. No, you're right about that. I honestly because like I said last week, I would love to do that. I would love to manage. I would never be able to do anything in the ring. Right. I would just wouldn't. But managing, I feel like I can do. I feel like I could be like a Zelina Vega.
Yeah.
But
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Andrew Elder says Dan Spivey said he would like to manage again. That's Waylon Mercy.
Okay.
And he wanted to be Bray Wyatt's manager at one point. So like that, yeah, like. I don't know if they could work out a deal with that. I mean, like, look what AEW is doing. Like, I love Arn Anderson as Cody's like coach, and I love Jake Roberts. Like just back in the fold. There's a lot of guys floating around out there that are still valuable, and you can use them, but they just don't. Corey Howell mentions Mr. Fuji. I believe Mr. Fuji's passed on though. But yeah, Mr. Fuji would have been. He was a great manager. Like he was a manager in the 90s as well.
Okay.
I think that's what Corey means. I don't think he means that.
Somebody like him.
Now.
Yeah.
But Jim Cornette even. A manager in the 90s as well. Jimmy, good old Corny. Anyway. Yeah, Aleister Black needs somebody to talk for him because that was the shits. And it's like I went from thinking that he's a favorite to win to like no, he's not.
Do you think Zelina Vega's like, oh honey, you tried your best? Like what do you think she like? How awkward is that conversation?
I don't know.
I don't think I could lie to you. Honestly, I would be like, that really wasn't very good.
I would hope so. Jesus, yeah. Shayna Baszler versus Indy Hartwell. They did basically a rehash. And by the way, Sarah Logan was released last week after Shayna Baszler broke her arm. They talked more about Sarah Logan on this show and put her over more on this show than they did when she was with the company.
I have a feeling she's one of the people that will be back.
Yeah, I believe some of those people are going to come back. I think you're absolutely right about that.
I do, and especially since like her husband's still working. Again, her husband's still working for the company too.
Right.
So, I don't know. But recap that match.
Oh yeah, no, it was really nothing. Indy Hartwell basically was just annihilated by Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler, did the arm breaker. The referee stopped the match, so Shayna wins. She comes back with a ladder, sets it up, sends her into the steel steps, and then sandwiches her arm in the ladder and kicks it to break the arm further. So, Indy Hartwell takes some advice from me. Based on what happened with Sarah Logan last week, do not answer your phone for the next few days, especially if the number is from Connecticut. Do not answer your phone.
Oh, I didn't know where this conversation was.
It's not good. It's not good. Don't answer your phone.
So you're thinking Shayna Baszler is just going to be the person who has matches of people who are getting fired from the company?
I don't know.
That's going to be her shtick each week.
I mean, how many people can she break the arms of? I mean, it's like, good Lord.
Oh, dear Lord. That is sad. It's like, I don't want to. It's like you're gonna match with Shayna Baszler. No, please.
Oh God, my career's over.
No, please.
No, please. Oh.
No, I don't want it.
No, I don't want it. It's like, oh God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, now I'm actually scared for next week.
I know, poor Indy Hartwell. I mean, she's not fired, or I don't know if she's actually fired, but yeah, don't answer your phone for God's sake. God. But yeah, so that was a squash match. You knew it was gonna be a squash match. Like there was no doubt that Aleister Black was beating Austin Theory. So right away we have two matches in a row that are just like foregone conclusions. Ricochet, Cedric Alexander versus Shane Thorne and Brandon Vink. And when I saw Shane Thorne with the bleach blonde hair, I was like, this guy's a jobber and he's losing.
But what's going on?
But it's like so weird to me that like Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, in my mind, I'm just programmed to think of them as jobbers now. So it's like this job team is beating the other job team. How can I ever take them seriously?
Why not me?
Oh, yeah, why not me?
I can think of 100 reasons why.
Because Vince has no faith in you, I guess. I don't know. Like there's
Richard O'Shea.
Richard O'Shea. Yeah. That. I mean, they had a good match. I mean, they have some good tag team moves, but it's like until they beat an actual team.
I've always said this. I think Ricochet is very talented.
He's extremely talented.
I think Cedric Alexander's
and they're goddamn missing the boat on him.
I think Cedric Alexander's very talented. He had a push for like half a millisecond.
Yeah. Basically, it's like a tag team of two guys that Vince just dropped.
But they're just not working though. They're not working. Even in a quarantine, well before the quarantine, they weren't working. So can't blame the pandemic for this one.
By the way, I'm not drinking beer. I'm drinking Izzy sparkling blackberry soda. Really good. It's so refreshing.
Wow, Mike. Tell us more. It's so riveting.
Are you fucking kidding me? Wow. You do the recap, goddamn you. Kairi Sane versus Nia Jax. And Charlie Caruso had one of those promos that just drives me up a friggin' wall. Kairi Sane, you faced Nia Jax last week and lost badly. What makes you think that having a rematch will be any different? Uh-oh, baby up.
No, give her a second.
Uh-oh, the baby's up.
Give her a sec. You keep talking.
Okay. But it's like, who asked that question? Could you imagine, like, like somebody going up to like a football coach and saying, "Oh, your team, last time you guys faced this team, you lost terribly. What makes you think it's going to be any different?" It's like, they wouldn't even take those stupid friggin' questions. Are you kidding me? Even the Mets get better questions asked to them. You know? It's like why?
I'll be back.
Baby's up. All right. Victoria will be back. Anyway, she just drives me crazy. Kairi Sane, Nia Jax. Kairi Sane got a lot more offense in this time, but again, foregone conclusion. There was never a doubt in my mind who was winning that match, and of course it was Nia Jax, particularly since Nia Jax is in the Money in the Bank. Ooh, wow. Who would have thought that would make her win? How about that? Anyway, they have a promo with Seth Rollins from his home, so I guess they didn't want to bring him out to the Performance Center tonight to keep the numbers down. Becky Lynch also wasn't there, coincidentally. Rollins, in short, Rollins accepted the challenge for Money in the Bank, which is like, duh. Like, I don't even know why they even... It's just to fill up time. But I would have cut this promo or the next thing that came up, the Viking Raiders. I don't know what the hell that was. But I would have cut that in lieu of giving the main event, like, I don't know, 5 more minutes. Jesus, it's like the main event had less than 5 minutes allotted to it. Are you kidding me? Andrew has a question for Victoria. Okay. Well, hope Victoria gets back for me to ask her a question. So, yes, she will be back. Usually when she goes to get the baby goes back to sleep pretty quickly. So I probably just jinxed it. But in theory, that's how it goes. MVP's out there. He says he's seen a lot of superstars rise and fall over the Money in the Bank briefcase. The briefcase guarantees the winner a title match of their choosing anytime, anywhere. Talks about climbing the corporate ladder, which, I forgot to talk about that with Victoria. But yeah, the corporate ladder thing. They're going to be having Money in the Bank at the WWE global headquarters. It's going to start on the first floor, and they have to fight their way up to the roof, where there will be a ring and the briefcase suspended over the ring. Wow. I mean, credit to them for thinking outside the box. I mean, seriously, because that is about as outside the box as it gets. And I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't looking forward to it. I certainly am. Anyway, MVP forgets Apollo Cruz's name. He calls him Aleister Black, and he goes, "Oh wait, no, that guy, Apollo Cruz." So it's like automatically, it's like, okay, MVP hasn't won a match since he's come back. He's a producer backstage. He's not winning this match. Another foregone conclusion. Apollo Cruz beats MVP, and he certainly does. And, you know, it's like Apollo Cruz is, to me, very much like Mojo Rawley, where it's like they give them a push for a little while, and it's like, okay, back to the doldrums for you. I mean, you don't even need a crowd there to realize that, like, Apollo Cruz just isn't connecting on any level, even with a television audience, you know, with just having to just do it for the camera. I doubt there's anybody at home that's like, oh my God, Apollo Cruz is my absolute favorite, and I'll only tune into Raw to watch him. There's an issue with connection here, because it's like, okay, the guy was on SmackDown as a jobber, gets brought over to Raw randomly, has a random match with Aleister Black that went a long time, but he still lost. But because it went a long time and it was competitive, now we have to take him seriously. No character development, hasn't even cut a promo. He's just doing the same smiling thing. And yeah, he's got great moves. So does Ricochet. Moves just isn't enough to carry you in this company. You know, you could be the best wrestler in the world and just be a middle of the card guy. You know, like, think about Shinsuke Nakamura. he was like on top of the world when he signed with WWE. And yes, he still has a great spot in the company, and he won the Royal Rumble, and they gave him a big push. But he's a middle of the card guy because there's the language barrier. He can't connect with the audience, according to Vince or whatever. But yeah, there's an issue there. There's an issue with connection. There's an issue with Apollo Crews and connecting. I don't see any reason why I should care that he's in this match, that he's in the Money in the Bank match. I see no reason to care. He's a total non-essential worker for me. It's like, if I can use some lingo from today, I just don't see it, and like maybe they'll come out with a video package, or they'll do like a backstage interview with him where it's like, okay, well, let's try to like give some character depth here. There's nothing. They've never done anything like that with him, and they really need to if they're going to continue this and try to get everybody to take him seriously, really. But there's, as of right now, there's just nothing there. And Machine Wall saying MVP is well over the hill too. Yeah, that's another hint that this is not, that he's not going to, that he wasn't going to win that match. So like again, so what are we? Let me just scroll down so I can let you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches in. Every single one of them was a foregone conclusion. Almost borderline. Every single one of them was an enhancement match. Everything except for Aleister Black and Austin Theory was essentially an enhancement match. Even I would say even Apollo Crews versus MVP was an enhancement match because you knew MVP had no chance. He wasn't going to win. He's like Mashun said, he's over the hill. Still a good talent, but he's over the hill. Now, talk about another thing that we're supposed to just care about. Anybody remember the Riot Squad from like a year ago? And they never even broke up. They just got drafted to different shows. Ruby got injured. Sarah Logan just did her own thing on Main Event, which nobody saw. 3 people watched Main Event. And I think 2 of them recap it for like some site. And Liv Morgan disappeared in July and then came back on Raw as like the lover of Lana, and that got dropped almost instantaneously. Now they're fighting. I don't even remember. I barely remembered Ruby Riott coming back and turning on Liv Morgan, but apparently tonight was the big blow off, I guess. And again, they talked about, Sarah Logan, last time you guys fought, Sarah Logan got involved in the match and there was no conclusion. It's like, why are we still talking about Sarah Logan here? She's released. Just leave the memories alone. Ain't no grave hold my body down, I guess, with Sarah Logan. But yeah, Liv Morgan versus Ruby Riott in a battle of former Riot Squad people. Just a match, and maybe what did it go 3 minutes, and I'm supposed to care? Liv Morgan wins, great. No reason for it. And they were doing these they're also doing these things with Bobby Lashley backstage tonight, which were I guess they were funny. I don't know. Was it supposed to be funny? I have no idea. But Bobby Lashley's flipping around tires or something like that. There was a tractor trailer tire, and then there was a monster. There was a monster truck tire that he flipped. The monster truck tire he had trouble flipping, so I guess that's funny. I don't know. It did nothing for me, and I was just more weirded out by seeing Lana there, knowing that Rusev's gone completely. Yeah, Andrew Elder saying, so Sarah Logan's furloughed instead of released, maybe. But I think if she was furloughed, they wouldn't have put anything on the website saying, we wish you well in your future endeavors. I think she is actually released. I do think she is released. But again, some of these people they released, they might have called them up and said, hey, you know what? Like we have to we have to let you go. We don't know when we can bring you back. Because even if the furlough ends, so there's a report out there that says the furlough for those that were furloughed, it could end on July 1st, but that's a tentative date. They're looking for this thing to, hopefully be over by July 1st. But if not, it could go on longer. And it's like one thing if you want to keep your producers on there and that's more for employees. I think a furlough is more for employees rather than an independent contractor. Like the producers work directly for the company. So the producers, even though they're furloughed, they're still getting health insurance and benefit and on all benefits from the company. Sarah Logan does not technically, is not an employee. So I think I don't think you can furlough a wrestler. I think you just have to outright release them. So there's that. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense to you. Makes sense to me, so I'm going to go with that. They did a little graphic for the Fink. Again, I would have cut out Liv Morgan versus Ruby Riott in 2 seconds for them to play the video package for Howard Finkel as well. Rather than just a graphic. Fink, I think, deserves a little more than that. There was actually a really great thing. Tommy Dreamer was a very, very close friend of the Fink. And on Twitter, he posted a picture that was from Finkel's room where he was, basically confined to, after having a stroke in February of last year. Finkel really was just kind of bedridden, from what I understand. I saw a picture of him floating around at the Garden in September of last year, and he looked really worse for the wear. He didn't look good at all. But in his room, I guess he couldn't speak anymore either. I really don't know. But there was something written on a whiteboard in his room, so I guess he was giving orders like that, because he couldn't really talk that well. That said, turn the channel to channel whatever the channel is up in New York where he was, or Connecticut, on Monday at 8 o'clock. Had to watch Raw. The guy was just a super fan, and for a guy that tuned in and watched Raw every Monday night, with the way the product is right now, he never stopped watching, never stopped being a fan from the time he was hired in 1975 to the day he died. I think he deserved to have a video package, and you can cut out, some crap match that really didn't need to be on tonight, because there was just a lot of filler and nothing much. The only match that was anything close to competitive, and still, I never thought for a second the finish was in doubt. I always thought Rey Mysterio was going over, but Mysterio and Murphy had a heck of a match. They really, really had a good match. And I know when these matches were announced last week, everybody was like, oh, well, Mysterio and Murphy is the one to watch out for, because Mysterio is just the fountain of youth. The guy is incredible. And Murphy, impossible for him to have a bad match with anybody. Really, he's just so damn good. Like that moniker of being WWE's hidden secret, it really isn't too far off from the truth. He's just damn good, and I'd love to see him get more opportunities. Good to have him back too, because he did not attend the last tapings and missed WrestleMania as well. They had a really good match. They told a great story. I really, really like the story that they told. And Jerry Lawler, and say what you want about Jerry Lawler, and people were saying a lot about him last week. Had a great thing. Mysterio did this thing where he, acted like his finger got dislocated. And Jerry Lawler was really, really putting emphasis on that. Like, it's the worst pain to have your finger dislocated and this and that. And this is a great thing for Murphy. And they worked the hand the entire match. They told a story in the ring. So much of these things are like, they'll work the arm and then they go after the leg next. It's like, so what the fuck were you working the arm for the past 5 minutes? If now you're going for the leg, it makes no sense. Oh, good. Victoria's back. So Andrew wants to ask you a question at some point. So I don't think so. Don't jinx yourself. But I was just saying, like, Mysterio and Murphy were actually telling stories in the ring, and it was really, really well done. So, what did you think of the Mysterio?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I always love Mysterio.
I know he really is just, man. Gosh, he's been four decades or something like that. 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s now.
I'm just really happy that I got to experience him, at least a little bit. Like, even if it was necessarily not in his prime.
It's not in his prime, but this is still pretty damn good.
Exactly. That's why
Mysterio's worst day is like somebody's like best day of their career.
Yeah, exactly. He's just he's something else. Like, he's something special when he goes into that ring. It's incredible.
Mysterio pops the finger back into place at some point, gets out of a sunset flip power bomb, hits a destroyer, hits the 619 top rope dive. Mysterio is in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So right now, Daniel Bryan, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, and Rey Mysterio. Oh, is that Siri?
Yeah.
My goodness, that's okay.
That scared me.
Oh yeah, I know. I was like, what the heck, Siri? my Siri better not turn on. But anyway, yeah, so those are the qualifiers so far for the men's Money in the Bank. The Raw side is completely rounded out. So we're back to squash matches. Charlotte Flair beats Caden Carter. Like, that was never in doubt. Okay, great. We can just skip that. Doesn't even matter. Apparently she's going to show up on NXT. They said Mia Yim. I thought it was Io Shirai that was the number one contender. Who the hell is she confronting? I don't know. Bobby Lashley flips a monster truck tire. Andrade comes out, faces Akira Tozawa, and I was like, okay. This is like... Everybody's going to be watching this match. It's almost like they put Akira Tozawa out there just to, like, you know.
I know, purposely.
Make everybody, like, squirm. What's Jerry Lawler going to say?
What's he going to say?
And, of course, like, almost immediately, Akira Tozawa hits the senton off the apron, the one that Jerry Lawler called a ramen noodle moonsault. It wasn't even a moonsault, number one, but a ramen noodle moonsault that just set everybody on, all the, you know, people that just are professionally offended were offended and calling for him to be fired. You had people in the company like Rachel Evers going, racism's not cool. I don't think Jerry Lawler was being racist. I think it was just a bad joke. But, you know.
It's definitely not a joke that you can make nowadays.
No.
Let's put it that way.
No. And if you go back and look at Jerry Lawler's career, particularly a promo he cut on Goldust, he said a lot worse on WWF TV.
There's a lot of things that have been said that is way worse than that.
Right.
Again, I didn't agree with what he said, but...
Yeah, I didn't agree either, but shut up. He's not a racist either. Like, seriously. Andrade wins. Again, another match that the finish was never in doubt. It was more just, I was kind of... The only reason I was interested in that match was just because, like what's Jerry Lawler going to call it this week?
I know. I was like, oh. And what do you think, Jerry?
It's the chopstick chop.
What do you think, Lawler?
God. Bianca Bel Air versus Santana Garrett. Just a squash match for Bianca Bel Air. Street Profits on commentary kind of made the match even more entertaining. But I love Bianca Belair. She's so great. But again, never in doubt.
I did not. It's the women. It's the women who are making these shows.
I know. There were quite a few women's matches tonight, too. Angel Garza versus Drew McIntyre in the main event. And again, 3 hours of build. So they start you off at 8 o'clock. And then they start making their entrances around 10:50. They start wrestling at 10:53. You know they have to do some post-match bullshit afterwards, so it's going to be less than 5 minutes. Why?
I never got that.
I don't understand how you don't give a main event an extra segment.
You know what's interesting? I've noticed, and a lot of people probably have noticed this as well. Actually, definitely have noticed this. It's the main event that you want to go on longer. That's like 5 minutes long, and then there's the other main events that go on for like 30-35 minutes, and you're just like, why is this even the main event? I don't want this to be happening right now. And those are always the matches that go on. Those are the segments that always go on for a long period of time. But these things that you want to see pan out a little bit, no.
I want to see Angel Garza and Drew McIntyre, but I guess they want to have Drew McIntyre like just have convincing wins, and so like they don't need to go that long, and they don't want Drew McIntyre selling too much.
Yeah, but more than 5 minutes.
But a little extra. Just give it a little extra.
Hurt anybody.
No, not at all. What did you just say?
I was yawning, and it's not because I'm bored. I'm just tired.
I know. So yeah, Drew McIntyre beats him. That was never in doubt either. It's like, well, gosh, Andrade couldn't beat him last week, so Angel Garza is definitely not beating him. I bet you next week they have Austin Theory face him, and I bet you I know who's gonna win that match. McIntyre was a lot of fun in this. I liked him celebrating. He went over to commentary, and he was talking to Byron Saxton. He goes, so I'll see you at the same time next week, huh? And Byron's like, yep, every day I'll be here, every day. Like, Byron was so goddamn cringy all night.
He can go home. He can stay home.
Byron's still nerd.
He should quarantine himself just to stay safe. That's all.
Yeah. Byron should very much stay safe.
Just stay safe.
Maybe he has like a condition that he doesn't know about that could make him more susceptible.
Maybe he's asymptomatic too. Maybe he's giving it to everybody.
I think he should just be gone.
I think Byron just take a break.
In all seriousness, Jerry Lawler should not be there.
And he should not be there
at all. Flying from Memphis, he took a picture of himself with a face mask on in the airport. Get him home. Leave him home.
I don't know why.
Jerry Lawler's great. I love Jerry Lawler. I talked about how he added to. I talked about how he added to a lot of matches.
He's fantastic.
But he doesn't need to be there.
He doesn't need to be there. Let him stay home.
AEW kept Jim Ross home because it wasn't safe. It's not safe.
It's not safe. The man's heart is
right. Right.
They're not thinking.
Anyway, so he was talking to Byron, and he goes, should I go down there and give him another kick? And Byron's like, oh, yeah, I guess so. And so he goes down and gives him one more Claymore kick, and that's how they end the show. So a happy ending, but I would have been happier if they gave that match a little more time. And what were you going to say before?
No. Just go talk more about Byron.
Okay. So here's the question from Andrew Elder for you.
To me.
To you.
Okay.
Here's the question for Victoria. If you weren't watching the women's matches, especially Charlotte, but you heard it from the other room, what would you wonder Mike was watching? Especially like Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. I mean, gosh, we don't even like our neighbors. We had to turn that match down because we were like, they're going to think we're perverts.
This is why music needs to be on these shows.
Actually, I know. Well, oh, it's such a good point.
But then again, it might be a little bit worse for them. I don't depends what kind of music. Yeah, there needs to be something in the background.
I know,
and it can't be. That can't be crowd noise.
I know. That particular music.
No, it's got to be strictly music.
Not like bow chicka.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be like really, really loud. Where you're like, what? I can't.
So bad.
It's so bad. It's really awkward. It's very uncomfortable.
It's weird. But if you weren't a frequent watcher of wrestling, what would you think I was watching?
What do you think?
Yeah, I know.
But like, why are you watching? But I would question more like, why are you playing it so loud right now?
I know, it's like, flaunting it in front of my wife.
Like, I feel like that's something that's very private. You're hiding. You would be hiding from me, and whatever. And I don't think that. Yeah, I would be actually more wondering like, hey, why are you watching this like in the open? For whatever in our living room, because Mike recaps in our living room. So I'm like, why are you actively watching porn in our living room right now?
Yeah, in front of all of our babies' toys and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my! Ew, no,
creepy.
Okay.
Anyway, it was great to be here with you all tonight. We're gonna bring this thing in for a landing. On that very strange and weird note, we appreciate everybody kind of hanging in with us and listening to us talk about this show that obviously not a lot of people watch tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back next week for Post Raw number 79. We are almost
close to 80.
I know. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, we're almost 20 shows away from 100. So we're getting there. And hopefully there'll be people in the arena for the 100th show. God's sake.
Don't even say that. I will cry if that's the case.
Anyway, I will be back next week. I will be back on Saturday with Wrestleview News with Mr. Jerome Weiland. And Dougie will be back on Sunday, Wrestleview Weekly. A lot of stuff going on, Wrestleview. I'm sure there'll be some crazy news this week as well. So
and I'll be back on Monday.
And Victoria will be back on Monday. We'll figure out a way to get you on more shows. But Victoria does have her Brian Alvarez podcast coming up at some point. So, oh my God, you look so evil. On that note, let's get the hell out of here. I'm Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Take care. Have a great week.
You too.